Guys, today I got with me Lyle and I got Chuck here with us today. Brian's sick, so we're going to do this here amongst the three of us, I guess. And the first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to show the people this, and I'm going to flip this over while I'm talking. Can you see that?
Yes.
The picture? Yeah, okay. I thought that was kind of interesting. Um, the coffin in the boat. I think if I get ready to go, I think that's the way I want to go.
I can relate to that. That's I seen that online. It's pretty impressive deal, and that would be the highest honor or respect you could give to a guy that's devoted his life to the fishing industry.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to do a casket. I'm probably going to do an urn, but same. I think I want to do the same thing.
Right, right. But that's pretty outstanding. There's a good story on that too.
Yeah. I can't take it with you. You watch me. I bet you I take my black horse rods with me. You know I'm going to.
Yeah, when I was younger, my boys lived at home, and we had horses and big trucks and horse trailers, and one wanted this and one wanted that. And I said, I'm going to tell you something. When I go, just put me in the truck with the horse trailer, throw a couple of horses in it, and then you guys won't have nothing to fight about.
Did you see that, Chuck? That article?
Oh yes, that's great.
Yeah, classic,
Uh,
man.
yeah, it's just who's going to be using my boat after I'm gone? I'd want my boat. Take
Well,
a picture.
I'm afraid my wife will let her new boyfriend drive it.
That's what I was thinking.
I'm thinking Leanne's got that boat covered if something happens.
Oh, you bet. Hey, Lyle, have you heard anything else about our little buddies down there in the radio station? The ones that
Not
was
too much. Not too much.
raising.
They're still running off about the law that's been passed, and it goes into effect March 1st, and there's not anything they can do about it. But they've moved now from the defensive to the aggressive side of it, trying to basically what they're doing is telling people that the conservation department doesn't have enough law enforcement down there, so go ahead and keep what you want and take your chances, which is pretty dumb move because they
Yeah.
are going to write you tickets, and you're going to get fined if you keep slot limit fish and if you keep more than two over 34 inch. So for some reason they have it in their mind that they're trying to eliminate trot lining and jug lining and stuff like that, and that's not at all true because they want those smaller fish caught out of there. They're just so overpopulated with below slot limit numbers that those fish have got to be caught and kept,
Well,
and that's why they've done this.
with the jugging and the trot lining though, it don't make any difference. You're still only allowed to keep so many. So I don't know
Yeah,
why anybody bitches about it.
well, and they've raised the limit. They've raised the limit from 5 blues a day to 10, but you can't keep any in the slot limit, and you only keep two over 34. But you can keep more fish. So, I've never understood what their bitch was about it, but they're a believer that they're trying to stop trot liners and jug liner, and that's far from the truth. They just want to get the smaller fish
Well,
caught out, so the bigger fish can continue to grow and get to breeding size.
but I can't see a radio station keeping them on the air as long as they're telling people to break the limit. That's ignorant.
Well, and it is. One of the deals that is very upsetting to me is the guy that does the G3 Sportsman TV show. I'm sure that they give him 3 free trips to go up there and duck hunt with them boys and go on fishing trips with them, and that's all fine and good. But a guy like that should have more common sense than to go in and support that kind of a deal when we're trying to preserve the trophy fish. And everywhere that's been done, the numbers of big fish have grown dramatically. All the convenience stores and motels, the restaurants in those areas, they all flourish. And to support something like that from his perspective is very very disrespectful to what we're trying to get done.
All right. Well, hey, did I tell you I ended up having to do this? I don't want to say it, but I ended up finding a place to get my 10 knots.
Uh-huh.
Took almost 2 weeks, and they got stuck in customs for about a week.
Yeah.
And I finally got them. So I think
Awesome.
I'm gonna go down into Mississippi next week if there's not a whole lot of ice floating.
Well,
But
I don't know what's on there. I know above some of the dams that there's quite a bit of ice, but I think below them it's clear, and the Missouri is pretty much clear, I believe, from what I've been
there was
hearing.
ice. There was ice flowing there by Chain of Rocks the other day.
Yeah, yeah. That's probably coming through the dam would be my guess.
And when I fish on the bank, that's where I fish at. So
Now, I went across the Louisiana Bridge. The closest dam would have been 9 miles, and a barge or something had been up through there and broke a path out of it. But it was, it had ice. But that backs up from the Parksville Dam, and it just sets in there until it goes through or melts out or whatever. But something had definitely been through there. But there's a lot of ice above the dams right now.
I ain't even checked to see if it's come up or not, but
No, I haven't either.
should have done that. But anyway, um, the other thing I wanted to talk about was the new rules in Tennessee. You knew that they dropped us down to 100 on the skipjack. But an interesting thing that I also found when I was researching that was they got new rules. You're only allowed 3 hooks on each line, so that makes the sabiki rigs illegal now in Tennessee.
Right, yeah, and that's something when you told me that, I didn't realize that would be the case, and the only way that you would be able to use them would be to cut off half of them hooks.
Yeah, it's just like
Which,
the umbrella rigs. You have to cut them off here.
right, yeah, that's what you'd have to do, and I did not know that they had passed that part of the law. I knew that it was a 100 fish limit, 200 in possession, which really that's not a bad deal. I don't think anybody's going to complain about that because you could spend a couple of days to get your 200 fish to come back, or if 2 or 3 of you go down there, that's still a lot of fish to keep and bring home. But the deal on the hooks, amount of hooks that you was allowed in there, I did not know about that until you brought that up.
Yeah, that's what I found. I found that on their DNR website. So
Well,
it's not
I know.
hearsay. That's what I found on the site.
Yeah, there's several guys that I know of that's been down there recently, and they're still not having any problem getting their skipjacks. That's like John and 3 friends of his went down, and 3 hours they had between 4 of them they had 326, and Rustin went down the other day, and I never did get an exact number. If I did, I forgot what it was, but they got a pretty good mess of them too in a short period of time. So they've really been in below them steam plants and stuff, and them guys are getting ready for their tournament seasons.
Uh, hey, I seen that you did an article over on InsideCatfishing.net,
Mm-hmm.
and it was about what was that about? Sponsorship and pro staff, something that you thought you needed to pass along.
Well, every year we go through a period of time when everybody's wanting to fish, and it's really not ideal conditions, and everybody gets the fishing fever. And the next thing you know, not just me, but Dave and Dave from Drift Rash, all them guys, they start getting bombarded with people wanting sponsorships, and you can't give that to everyone. Nobody can afford it, not even the big companies. But what happens is people get mad at you because you pick someone else or you don't pick them or whatever. And I just thought it was time to write a little article to say what you have to do to have a shot at it, for one, and second off, not to get discouraged if a company or a group does not pick you up to sponsor you one year. That does not mean that you're not going to get it sometime down the road. You always got a shot at it. Them guys are just saying, hey, you probably could get this, but we just don't feel like you're ready at this particular time. And, it works both ways. Cindy and I have been passed up a few times by companies that I thought would pick us up and didn't. And I've actually offered sponsorship to some guys that turned me down, and that was the most disappointing of all. And some of these guys are pretty big deals, and others of them, a couple of good guys that I know fish in Illinois. I offered them a deal a couple of years ago, and they turned me down, and they just didn't want to get tied down to one certain thing. And I do understand that end of it, but most of the people that we do stuff for are handpicked, and even though I get hundreds of resumes every year, the ones that have been the most successful for me is if I've been watching somebody for 2 or 3 years, and I have my eye on them and I know what they've been doing, and them's the people that I'm after, then that's who I normally try to approach. And one of the highlights of that would have been Doc and Tim, Lynn Lang. Visited with Doc when we was all VOC members. Back when I was a VOC member, there was only 600 members on there that was newly started, and Doc and I get to visit about catfishing, and he has an outstanding website with so much information on it, and I knew that him and Lynn would be ideal people to test stuff for me, and that's how I find out if it's really good, is if I go out and like it, that just means I like it. But if somebody else goes out and uses it, tests it, and puts a lot of fish on it, then I can say, yeah, that's a good product. And Tim and Lynn, they are absolutely some of the finest people in the world to do that with. And Jason Mathena and Vicky, and they're good. Jason Jackson's a guy guys like that are just irreplaceable. Russ DeVore, them kind of guys. But the other thing that I mentioned in that article is you do not have to be a guide or a tournament fisherman to get that kind of relationship with a company. But what you have to be is out in the public eye and be knowledgeable about the product so that you can share the information and be able to ask questions when them guys ask them about it.
Yeah, I was just was asked, why did I have a sponsorship when I don't even tournament fish? I said, I do something different than everybody else. A lot of charity work and different stuff like that, and
yeah, you're out in the public eye. People get to see you. They know what you're doing, and like I say, it's not 100% about being a tournament fisherman or being a guide. If you're out in the public view all the time and you're knowledgeable about the products that you're trying to share with people, that goes a long ways. And what you're doing is a specialty thing that very few people do, and I have to commend you on that, Paul, because everybody does not take the time to go out and spend with kids. We try to do that with Twisted Cat Outdoors in our tournaments. We offer a youth division and a ladies division to bring more of those people into the tournaments. But I know you're going to nursing homes and places like that and doing things for these people. I have a mother in a nursing home, and I know how hard it is to get people to do that, and that's a very reputable thing to be doing, and that's why you get the good sponsorships.
Yep. Well, let's see. What else? There was something else I wanted to cover. I think that was the Twisted Cat tournaments. You handled that, and I believe that Chuck had some questions that, or things that he wanted to bring up with you. So I'm gonna cut Chuck loose on you here for a few minutes.
All right.
Yeah. When you're reviewing, usually when they start releasing the tournament schedules, usually a little bit before Christmas, up into January, they're still switching stuff around, and I know that they're still trying to get their stuff together, but the participants of the tournament are not really getting the information that we need on each individual tournament. We have a list of tournaments and the dates, but then, especially when it's a bordering state tournament, which there's quite a few out now, any kind of state agreements with each other, if you can use their fishing license in this state, if you can transport fish over certain size limits from this state over into this state, and it gets real confusing, and Even though the tournament director says it's okay in the past, but you've talked to other guys that's fished that trail, you really don't know if it's, ethical and you're doing the right thing, if it's unlawful, because uh, everybody's got different opinions, and you never get a straight answer on if you're doing the right things and how things go. Because I've had a question, and they said, well, the tournament director let us do it last year. These guys that won this tournament was way up here, and they had this license, and they transported these sticks this year. The law says they shouldn't, but everything was okay for it in that tournament. Did they do something wrong, or are they making exceptions for the tournament?
I think somebody's got some background noise, and it's making you sound choppy.
One thing. Choppy? Have you got TV on, Chuck?
In the very back bedroom.
Okay, that's not doing it. No, that's not it. One thing about that I'll say on this, if you're having issues like that from the tournaments and you can't find out specific information, I would contact the tournament director, whoever it might be having the tournaments, and see if they can get you the information and try to tell them that they need to post that on their website or somebody else's website. But the one thing that you have to remember is you cannot take their word for it. When we have tournaments, sometimes we have bordering, like Keokuk, Iowa, borders 3 states, and I try to get all the information that I can posted on the TCO website before the tournament. But if there's any questions, you need to contact the conservation departments in those states and make sure, because there's nobody going to get that ticket but you, and nobody's going to bail you out on it. So even if the tournament director says, hey, this is the way it is, he is not the one that makes those decisions. It's done from each state. We have a lot of bordering state laws, and I'll give you a real good example. A couple years ago, Chris Cordy and J.D. Richardson was fishing a tournament in Quincy, Illinois, and it was on the Mississippi River. Your license are good for either state, so it's really not an issue. And they was catching shad in an inlet, and they moved the boat with a trolling motor. Well, they come over there as a brand new boat and have nothing wrong with it. JD didn't own the boat. He didn't own the kid, but he got a ticket for Stephen not having a life jacket on because he's under 15 and the boat moved. And one of the batteries didn't have the terminals covered up, which they've done after the fact with black tape, and that tossed the guy. But anyhow, JD's sitting in the driver's seat, so he got the tickets for all that stuff. And those laws are not in Missouri, but yet you can catch fish in either one. So you have to make yourself aware of them and not 100% take the word of the tournament director, because he can be wrong, and he's not the one going to be liable for it.
And make sure you write the name down of the person you talk to, too.
Absolutely. We got into another issue with that up there at Keokuk last year. We had a tournament up there, and I was told that the boat ramp was owned by the city, and we didn't need any permits. We got up there, and about 5 hours before the tournament, the Conservation Department of Iowa come up and said, hey, do you have a permit to have this tournament? I said, don't need one. He said, really? Who told you that? I said, well, such and such told me that, and he checked it all out. He lives here. He said, well, I'm telling you that you do have to have one, and if you have that tournament, everybody entered in the tournament will get a ticket. I said, well, you can't do that. I said, what we got to do to get it straightened out? So at that particular time, it was too late to get the ticket, so they wrote a ticket which cost us $200. You go ahead and have the tournament, and for a $50 permit, I'll never let it happen again. But we was told we didn't need one, so we didn't get one. Now we know that we'll have one, and we'll never pay that $200 again. But that was one of the deals where we was told one thing. The guy thought that he told us right, but it wasn't right. And it was a $195 fine is what it amounted to be. So it can happen to anybody, but the tournament directors need to be brought aware of what they need to post and get the most correct information they can get for the tournament fishermen and women. And then, I would never take their word for it, because they can be wrong, and they're not going to tell you something wrong on purpose because they want you to come back and fish them tournaments. They don't want you getting tickets, getting mad, and never coming back. But like I say, they can be wrong, they can be told wrong, misunderstood things. So, but yeah, I think that it would help a great deal if any information like that was posted on Twisted Cat Outdoors or Catfishing Freaks or one of the other websites, Catfishing Pro, any of those places that handle information for tournaments, put those things up and say, hey guys, can you get me this information? And I have a very good friend that works for the conservation department. If I have any questions, I can call him up. He gives me the correct answers, and that's what you need, because there's nothing worse dampering a good weekend if you're on good fish than getting a ticket and not being able to turn your fish in, because a lot of times if you get a ticket, they're going to take your fish.
All right. Well, I guess you done, Chuck?
Yeah, I'm done. That was great.
Maybe I know we're getting ready for Twisted Cat outdoor tournaments coming up, so if you want to cover that real quick, Lyle, and then we'll start wrapping it up a little bit.
What would you like to visit about the tournaments, Paul?
Well, I'm sure that you got a tournament schedule in front of you.
I do have it. I do have now a couple of these we're kind of waiting on a few things, but at this particular point, providing that we have ice out, February 22nd at Columbia Bottoms, be right off of the ramp is right off the Missouri River, right where the confluence of Missouri and Mississippi is, and it's right below the Alton Dam. Tournaments, all-day tournaments start at 7 o'clock in the morning. That'll be launch time, so you need to be there early. They end at 3. If the ice is out and it's safe to go, we're going to have one there the February 22nd, March 22nd, April 19th will be in Meredosia, Illinois. May 24th will be in Nauvoo, Illinois. June 14th, and again at Columbia Bottoms. Keokuk, Iowa, July 12th. We have an open date that's pending an approval for a tournament, August 16th. September 20th will be at Quincy, Illinois at Southside Boat Club. And then October 4th and 5th, and that date may change, either ahead 1 week or back 1 week, because we have a conflict with another tournament series that's within our area, and we don't want both of them to be on the same date. That way guys that want to fish both of them can fish both of them. So it's 4th and 5th of October at this particular time, but it may be moved back a week or moved up a week. We got plenty of time to get that worked out. But the guys that want to fish in Springfield, Illinois, and I like to fish over there too, so we don't want them on the same date so everybody can make them. 3 fish limit for the tournament. You can't be late for weigh-in. It's pretty standard format that we've been using for a long time. No trailering. We took the trailering out. We had too much issues with that. People talk about people having fish stashed and different things, and we're just not going to do that anymore. I never did like the rule, but it's just something that we're not going to have. Every place that ever has trailering rule allows trailering in their tournaments. They end up having issues with that. And if you don't have it, you don't have to worry about it. One thing that we do is allow 3 people to a team. There's no age restriction on that to help cut the cost for somebody fishing the tournaments. And if anybody has any questions or anything they'd like to visit with me about, they can send me a text or I prefer not a text. I don't text real well, but a PM or an email, or give me a call, and I'll be glad to help them with anything they need.
Of course, it don't matter what rules you have anyway. Somebody's always going to bitch.
Well, you do get some of that. We really don't have that much of it, but there is a couple of guys that you're always going to have a few. But we went the first 5 years and never had an issue, not one. And the last couple of years we've had a few issues, and one of the biggest complaints, we actually lost some people, participants, on account of the trailering rule and a guide rule, which again I didn't like that, but I agreed to do it, and it didn't last but 1 year. The trailering rule lasted 2 years. It took me a little while to figure out it was costing us people entering the tournament, so we've done away with that too. And like I say, the first 5 years we didn't have any troubles, and that's what we want to go back to. We don't have issues, and that's the best way.
Okie dokie. And that we'll go ahead and wrap this up. You guys stay with me and
Okay.
do a little powwow after a while. But we're gonna call the video a night. Take care, and until next time, if you ain't fishing, you ain't living.